do you think the sign of pi?
Oh.
0? As you go from positive to negative, what's in between positive values and negative values? So try it. In your calculator, make sure it's great. Try the sign of pi. Deep thought question. There you get 0, like we thought. Does that make sense? Can you draw a triangle for that?
No, you cannot.
No. Yeah, so these are some deep thought questions because we will not be able to draw triangles today. Today we're going to talk about sine, cosine, and tangent on what's called the quadrantal angles. But those are just the axes. What are the values of sine, cosine, and tangent on axes? Obviously they have a value. Your calculator tells you a value. So where did those come from? That's what we're going to figure out today. Since sine of theta is the opposite side of the triangle over the hypotenuse, what is the very biggest that value could be? Or almost could be. You might not think it could actually be. What could it? What's it close to? Or the biggest value you could come up with? What do you know about the opposite side of the triangle compared to the hypotenuse?
It always has to be smaller.
It's always smaller, right? So get really, really close to maybe 1, right? 0.999, that you might say that 0.9999999 could be the biggest it could be. Actually, it could be 1. But that would be in a weird place, wouldn't it? It would be strange if that happened. We'll figure that out. So 1 is the biggest that sine could possibly be. When do you think sine would equal 1? Okay, so when the hypotenuse and the other side are equal is what I'm hearing you say. How is that possible? And it's not, you couldn't actually draw a triangle. Give me that. What did you say?
That's a triangle.
I heard someone say a degree measure. 90 degrees. Why? Well, would you agree that sine is just based on number purposes, wouldn't you agree probably the biggest value sine would get to is right there? And then it would start going back down to 0. 0 gets bigger, then gets smaller. Whatever the biggest value of sine would be, it would happen at that angle. And I told you it was 1. Well, let's look at why. You cannot draw a triangle. Don't. It'll hurt your brain. But would you agree, if you just look at sine being y over r, we said it was y over r? What do you know about y and r right there? They're the same value. So if we're just using that as our value for sine, then that would be 1. Agree? So those are what we're going to look at today. So sine at 90 degrees is 1, and we found out here it's 0. What do you think it is over here?
0.
Also 0. Any guesses for down here?
Or negative 1.
Negative 1? We know it has to be negative. Negative 1. So that's what we're looking at today. It's weird. Because it's so weird, most teachers don't even do what I just did on the board. I made those questions up, they weren't in the book. I made you think hard. Most teachers say, memorize this. So, we're not any different than everyone else. We want to just memorize this. We don't want to have to think that hard every time. So, the sine, cosine, and tangent of the quadrantal angles is something you will want to memorize. When I ask you what the sine of pi is, that needs to be 0 quick answer. No thinking to it, it just is because he said so. Now you saw why, and we talked a little bit about why. So we're going to go through and talk about what each value is and where. I'm going to remind you of the picture we drew yesterday for sine. And why is sine positive up and negative down? Has to do with the y value, right? It's y over r. R is always positive. If it's y over r, what is y on the x-axis? trick teacher taught me the quadrant equations. We had to just memorize these charts. We will learn another memorization tool tomorrow called the unit circle. That's the one you've heard so much about, probably. So I'll teach you that tomorrow. It's another way to memorize it. Both are great. I like these charts because they also give you the pluses and minuses. So to have those in your head, they're helpful to have. I don't care how you do it, though. Plus, I'll show you the other option tomorrow. Okay, cosine. We already know cosine is. So just based on what we learned from sine, when do you think cosine is 0?
On the y-axis.
Why?
Okay.
The positive negative switch, right? If I change from positive to negative, I have to cross 0. The other thought process is that this is x over r. What's the x value if I'm on the y-axis? 0, right? If I'm at 0, 5, or whatever, right? That's the x value on that axis is 0. So either way you want to think about it, cosine is 0. Yeah. What do you think it is at 0 degrees?
What?
What do you think cosine of 0 degrees is? 1. Why do you think that? That would be the biggest that cosine could get. We talked about it being, the other one's opposite over hypotenuse. So cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Same thought process. And what about negative? That is our chart for cosine. Tangent's a little different. I'm going to have to think about y divided by x. I remember from yesterday this. But they're not all 0. It looks like maybe they should all be 0. I'm going to have to think a little harder. This is y divided by x, right? Okay, so on this point, say this is the point 1, 0, right? That would be the point 1, 0 if I were 1 unit out. What's 0 divided by 1?
0.
Does everyone agree it's 0? You divide 0 by a number, you get 0. Yes, I'm getting that. So the y divided by the x. So y would be 0, x would be some number. So 0 divided by a number would be 0. Good? So that also means this would be
0.
0 as well. On the y-axis, the x value would be 0, but the y value would be 0, right? So what's a number divided by 0?
Undefined.
Is there anything else that you know of that is y's over x's from algebra 1?
Slope.
Slope, rise over run, y over x. What's the slope of a vertical line?
Undefined.
Find what the slope of a horizontal line.
0.
There's your memorization. Where's slope? Undefined, 0. So tangent is undefined on the y-axis and it's 0 on the x-axis. Again, most trick teachers would throw this up and say memorize it. They're where it came from, memorize it. You did get to see why and how, but it is important enough and at least hard enough to come up with it. You don't want to have to do it every time. So this is something that we will want to memorize. One more picture my trick teacher threw up there. This is probably a little unnecessary, but if you want it, he even put that at the 45s, tangent was 1 and negative 1, just to remind us of that. If you wanted to put that on, to me, I could probably put that out. One, negative 1, positive 1. Any questions about this chart? Now let's talk about the 3 charts I drew. Because I might also ask you the secant of pi, or the cosecant of pi. And I'm not going to memorize a new chart for that. Why would I not want to memorize a new chart for that? It's just a reciprocal. Well, we need to talk about that a little bit. We need to talk about how that would work if we were to do the reciprocals. I'm going to draw these charts sometimes, but I won't ever draw and then your zeros become
undefined.
So tangent and cotangent charts would be opposites for those lines. Any questions about how I know those? This is the new stuff for today. Being able to find it. Okay. I'm going to work these. I know you don't have them memorized yet, so I am going to think them through. Again, I hope that 2 days from now there is no thought in this and you just know either from memorizing those charts or from memorizing what I teach you tomorrow, you just know the answer. But for today, I know you don't have them memorized yet, so I'm going to think them through. So the first one is sine of 270 degrees. Where is that?
Fourth. No.
Down here, right? Right? 90 degrees more than 180. So 270 degrees. So again, we're learning how to find the quadrantal angles today. If you ever get that word again, I'm probably the only one that understand it, but it's the quarter angles. So this sine of 270 degrees. I know that sine is y over r. If I'm on the y-axis, what do you know about y and r? Even though you cannot draw a triangle. They're the same, right? Except y is negative because I'm in the bottom. So this is negative y. See how that's working? Makes sense. But again, if you just have that chart memorized, that's it. Cosecant of pi. Well, where is that? On the x-axis. And what does cosecant go with? Sine, which goes with the y value. What's the y value on the x-axis? 0. So what would the reciprocal be? Am I going too fast? Did it? Okay, 3 pi over 2. Where is that? Wait, this is 1/2 of pi. This is 2/2 of pi.
Y-axis.
3/2 of pi, right? So it's on the negative y-axis. What do you know about cotangent? 0. Why 0? Tangent's undefined, so cotangent's 0. I said y'all didn't have these memorized yourself. That's kind of good. I'm better than my calculus. Any questions about that? Tangent of pi over 4. Is that on one of those angles?
No.
Where is pi?
First quadrant.
What triangle is it?
Yeah, that's one.
It's a 45-degree angle in quadrant 1. Yes. 1 quadrantal 2. So be careful. I may throw in some that aren't quadrantal angles, but that is the new thing for today. And so what is the tangent of pi over 4?
1.
So try the bottom 3. In your textbook, just a mental note, not that it matters, you can say answer either way. But when they don't put a degree symbol, that means they're in radians. When they do put a degree symbol, that means they're in degrees. You see that? I think I've said that before, but in case I haven't. My AB calculus class, the first week of school, had a quiz over this stuff and yesterday's stuff. questions about that? You should have it. Alright, this is your homework. And you have some special. I do want to tell you. But do you have your any questions about quadrilateral angles? Tomorrow we're going to learn the unit circle, and then that's right. Thursday we are going to start reviewing for your test, and I'm going to tell you when that is. Unfortunately, your test is going to be Tuesday after Labor Day. I don't want to leave it on Friday. Friday's short anyway, so you wouldn't have the full class hours. So I just want to give you a test that day. Unfortunately, means you have a test Tuesday after you have a